They say some moments in life are so powerful, so unexplainable, that words are not enough to capture them. For Yaman and Demet Özdemir, that moment was not in front of cameras, not during an interview, and not in a script someone else had written for them. It was a single look, one last look, that carried the weight of everything they had lived together, and everything they could never say out loud. Fans around the world still talk about it, replaying the scene again and again, wondering, what was really behind those eyes? What did they see in each other that night? This is the story of that look, the untold truth of what happened before and after, and why it changed everything forever. At the height of their fame, Can and Demet were already more than just co-stars. The chemistry they built on set was undeniable, but off-camera, the tension was even stronger. They tried to hide it, to keep it professional, but anyone watching closely could see it. The way their eyes found each other in a crowded room, the way a small smile would appear without reason. And then came that night. A night when emotions reached a point of no return. They knew things could not continue as they were, but they also knew they couldn't walk away without one last connection. That's when it happened. That's when their eyes met in a way that neither of them could ever forget. It wasn't planned. It wasn't rehearsed. It was real. One look that spoke louder than every interview, louder than every rumor, louder than every denial. In that silence, everything was said: love, regret, anger, and longing all at once. And maybe, deep down, a goodbye. Fans watching later described it as electric, heartbreaking, unforgettable. For some, it was proof that their love story was real. For others, it was the moment they realized this chapter was closing. But for Can and Demet themselves, it was something even more personal, a memory that would follow them for years. That look changed the way they faced each other afterward. On set, behind the scenes, even in public events, something had shifted. They were no longer just colleagues, no longer just actors pretending. They had crossed an invisible line, and nothing could erase it. To this day, interviews and public appearances hint at the impact of that moment. Can's guarded answers, Demet's emotional pauses, the way both of them still choose silence when certain questions are asked, all of it traces back to that night. The last look. The one they shared when words were impossible. For Demet, that moment was a storm. She had spent so much time trying to separate her real emotions from her role, convincing herself that what they had was just acting, just part of the job. But when her eyes met Can's that night, all those walls crumbled. She felt exposed, almost vulnerable, as if he could read every thought in her mind without a single word spoken. In that single second, memories came rushing back. Late-night rehearsals, laughter between takes, whispered conversations no one else heard. She realized she had never truly prepared herself for what it would feel like to stand on the edge of goodbye. For Can, it was different, but just as intense. Known for his confidence and strong presence, he had always been the one in control. Yet in that moment, he felt powerless. He saw Demet's eyes glisten with a truth she would never say aloud, and for the first time, he wished time would stop. That look reminded him of everything they had built together, both on screen and behind the curtain. It wasn't just chemistry, it was history. It was the kind of bond that couldn't be erased by contracts, managers, or public gossip. And yet, he also knew it was the end of something. That look carried both love and loss, and he felt it like a knife. The people around them might not have understood what happened. To the casual observer, it was just a glance, just a pause. But to those who followed their story closely, to the fans who watched every gesture, it was obvious. Social media lit up almost immediately. Clips of that night were replayed millions of times. Fans wrote, "Did you see how he looked at her? That was not acting. Something happened there, something real." Theories spread like wildfire. Some believed it was a confession without words. Others claimed it was a farewell, a silent goodbye caught on camera. But everyone agreed, it was not ordinary. It was the kind of look you only see once in a lifetime. In the days that followed, Can and Demet kept their silence. Neither confirmed nor denied what fans were saying. But the silence itself became an answer. Every time they avoided the subject in interviews, every time they changed the topic with a nervous laugh, the mystery only grew. Fans became detectives, analyzing body language, revisiting old interviews, connecting dots that perhaps even the two of them hadn't noticed. The legend of the last look was born, and it never died. Years later, when asked about the most unforgettable moments of their career, both Can and Demet always pause for a brief second. They smile politely, they choose safe words, but those who know them well say their eyes always give away something deeper. Maybe they are remembering that night. Maybe they are thinking about the look that changed everything. Because the truth is, some moments are too powerful to fade. That single look didn't just change their relationship, it changed the way fans saw them forever. It blurred the line between fiction and reality, between characters and real people. And perhaps, that's why their story continues to haunt the imagination of millions. Even today, people still ask, what really happened between them? And even today, the answer remains hidden in that one last look. The look didn't just stay between Can and Demet. It became a story carried by whispers, articles, and endless speculation. Behind the scenes of the industry, everyone talked about it. Crew members, stylists, even people from other productions, everyone had their version of the story. Some claimed they saw Demet leave the set that night with tears in her eyes. Others swore Can stayed behind, sitting alone, replaying everything in his mind. No one knew the full truth, but everyone felt the weight of it. The press, of course, didn't miss the chance. Headlines screamed about the mysterious glance and the hidden story behind their eyes. Magazines published side-by-side photos, pointing out the smallest details, the way Can leaned forward slightly, the way Demet's lips trembled as if holding back words. Body language experts were invited to talk shows, analyzing frame by frame. One said, "This is the look of unfinished love." Another argued, "No, this is closure. It's the end." But fans were the loudest. Online, they created entire threads, videos, and blogs dedicated to decoding that look. They slowed it down, zoomed in, added emotional music. Comments flooded in, this was the realest moment between them. Forget the acting, this was Can and Demet as themselves. Some even wrote fanfiction imagining what happened after the camera stopped rolling. Others created theories that this look was the reason behind their eventual separation, or even the reason why they could never publicly admit their feelings. For Demet, dealing with this storm was exhausting. She valued her privacy, but suddenly everyone felt entitled to her emotions. She started avoiding questions, but silence only fueled more speculation. For Can, the situation was different, he was used to being the center of attention, but this time, it wasn't about his career or his projects. It was about something he could not control, something deeply personal. And the more he tried to move on, the more people dragged him back to that moment. Still, despite all the noise, neither of them ever revealed what truly happened. And that silence became even louder than any confession. The mystery turned into legend. The look was no longer just a memory between two people, it became part of pop culture, a story passed from one generation of fans to the next. Even those who hadn't watched their original series knew about that night, that look. Years passed, but the memory of that last look never faded. For Demet, every new role she played, every new character she brought to life carried fragments of herself. And yet, fans always found ways to connect her performances back to him. Look at her expression, it's the same as the night she looked at Can. They couldn't separate the actress from the woman who had once stood in front of him, eyes trembling, carrying an entire unsaid story in her gaze. For Can, the journey was just as heavy. He became an icon abroad, admired for his strength, his elegance, his mysterious aura. But when people interviewed him, no matter where in the world he was, Turkey, Italy, Spain, even the United States, the same name always came back, Demet. And with it, the same memory. Sometimes he laughed it off. Sometimes he chose silence. But silence, once again, was louder than words. People saw in his eyes what he would never say. The irony was undeniable. They built careers on words, on scripts, on carefully crafted lines. Yet the moment that defined them forever was one without dialogue, without a single spoken word. Just silence, just eyes, just truth. Even today, fans say that look was more powerful than any kiss, any scene, any declaration. Because in that second, the cameras captured not two characters, but two souls. It was the rare moment when reality broke through fiction. And once you see something like that, you can never forget it. So what was it? Was it a goodbye? Was it a confession of love never spoken? Or was it something even deeper? A silent promise that no matter how far they drifted, no matter how many years passed, a part of them would always remain bound by that look. No one will ever know the full truth. Only Can and Demet hold that secret. And maybe that's why the world cannot stop talking about it. Because mystery keeps love alive. Because silence sometimes tells more than words ever could. If you think about it, perhaps that's why fans still believe in them. Not because of interviews, not because of rumors, not because of gossip. But because of that single, unforgettable, unrepeatable moment. The last look they shared. The look that changed everything, forever.